To discuss the big, beautiful bill and a whole lot more, Kansas Senator and member of the Senate Budget Committee, Roger Marshall. Senator Marshall, welcome to Sunday Report.
Good morning, Charles. Great to be with you. I think we've got some great things to talk about.
Absolutely. Senator, President Trump seems more than willing to make some compromises on the bills as it heads to the Senate. What kind of changes should we expect to see in the Senate version of this bill?
Well, first of all, Charles, I think 90% of what most conservative Republicans want is in this bill. That it's going to be the largest tax cut in history. It's going to be a $1.6 trillion cut in spending by the federal government, the largest decrease in spending in 30 years. But I still look, the background here is the number one problem that we face, this nation faces, is our national debt. So I think we need to cut some more spending. I think that's where the big opportunity is. I think that also we can make some of the business tax cuts permanent as well. Several of them, the R&D development expense, interest expenses as well. We want to make those forever rather than just for 4 years.
Yeah, and along those lines, not every Republican is sold on the bill as it is now. You've got folks like Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, who wants to see deeper cuts in line with DOJ recommendations. Here's what he told Newsmax. Please watch.
We've increased spending from $4.4 trillion to $7 trillion in just the last 6 years. We basically doubled spending in the last 10 or 11 years. 2014, we spent $3.5 trillion. Now we're spending over $7 trillion. So again, it's completely out of control. There's no justification to continue to spend what we spent during an emergency pandemic.
Senator, if the Senate does their share of slicing and dicing, will the rest of the GOP get on board?
I think there's a sweet spot to get there. And I certainly agree with everything that Ron John just said there, that we were spending $4.5 trillion before Biden. Now we're spending over $7 trillion a year. Look, COVID is over with. We don't need all that emergency money. So that's why I'm trying to say, let's get from $1.6 trillion of cuts, which is where the House is. We need to get that to way over $2 trillion and work towards a balanced budget. This is the number one problem that our nation faces right now, is that we're spending $1 trillion a year on interest. When you're spending that much of your budget on interest, there's little left to do the other important things.
And another important part of this bill is the $46 billion to revive construction of the border wall and other barriers, plus $4 billion to hire an additional 3,000 new Border Patrol agents and 5,000 customs officers. Senator, you were at the border recently, a passion of both of us. Is it fair to say this money set aside for boosting border security is all necessary?
You know, it absolutely is. Look, for 4 years, I've been calling for the president to send our military troops to the border to become a force multiplier. They've done that. They've done an incredible job. Border crossings are down in the Tucson sector where I went from over 2,000 a day to less than 50 per day. And I asked the same question to them. I asked the Border Patrol, what do you need for long-term success here? And they said, number one is we need more border fence. To your point earlier, $45 billion of this one big beautiful bill is going to go towards 2,000 miles of some type of a barrier. It's going to increase the border officers by 20%. It's going to increase the number of ICE removal agents by over 100%. So for long-term success, we need to finish building the president's wall, put more soldiers, put more Border Patrol officers down the border as well. This is exactly what we need to secure. This, by the way, is the president's number one promise to America when he ran, was to secure this border. This will give us long-term success.
Yeah, look, I mean, the progress in the last 4 months is indisputable. That layered approach to border security, physical barriers, technology, manpower, this is all going to solidify all the progress that's been made. You know, President Trump's touting the success of his tariffs at his Pennsylvania rally on Friday. Let's take a look.
We're taking in billions and billions of dollars in tariffs and other things, and we're keeping our competitive nations, we're keeping them, they're competitors, and we're keeping them totally at bay. And we right now have the hottest nation anywhere in the world. And 6 months ago, we had a nation that was dying. We had a nation that was cold as ice. And now we have the hottest, most talked about nation anywhere in the world.
We know the courts have issued a temporary stay allowing the president's tariffs to remain in effect. In the short term, what do you expect these tariffs to achieve for the American economy? Will the Trump administration have to keep fighting these legal battles to get them to stay?
Well, I'm afraid we will have to keep fighting them, and that's why people back home are so frustrated. They elected Donald Trump, 47, to secure the border, to bring jobs back home, to stop the flow of fentanyl. And I want everyone to know that these tariffs are working. You know, when the president said we want to stop the flow of fentanyl into this country, Canada and Mexico both have 10,000 more soldiers on their side of the border trying to stop the flow. And all my sheriff's officers back home say we're starting to see a decrease in that amount of fentanyl coming into the country. President Trump used these tariffs, he said, to bring manufacturing jobs back home. I know it's anecdotal, but I visited some 12 manufacturing companies back home over Easter break. And these are companies with 200, 400, 600 employees. And every company has their sales are just bursting at the seams. The only thing that's limiting them from doing more is the lack of people for the jobs. So I think that the president's tariffs are working exactly like he said they were going to work. And this is going to allow him to negotiate good, strong, long-term trade agreements so that future generations of Kansans can stay on the farm.
Yeah, you know, Senator, I think the American people sometimes need to be reminded that this all goes towards our national security, border security, economic security, all of these things, increasing production within the United States. This all improves our national security and strengthens it. You know, over the last course of the last 5 months, Elon Musk and his Doge team were hard at work uncovering government waste, fraud, and abuse and saving $170 billion in federal spending. However, his time in government came to an end this past week. Here's what the president had to say.
Today, it's about a man named Elon, and he's one of the greatest business leaders and innovators the world has ever produced. He stepped forward to put his very great talents into the service of our nation, and we appreciate it. And I just want to say that Elon has worked tirelessly helping lead the most sweeping and consequential government reform program in generations.
Senator, are the reforms implemented by Elon Musk and Doge here to stay?
You know, absolutely. And I just want to remind everybody that we are the cavalry. Elon Musk was part of the cavalry. Don't look over your shoulder. There's no one else coming. It's us. It's our turn to stand up and to be patriots. Elon's efforts should be applauded. Thank you, Elon. You know, Elon reminds me of kind of a Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, the inventiveness of Benjamin Franklin, the visionary of a Thomas Jefferson. He came in and he got the job started. Doge is not going anywhere. They're going to still be there. I know they're sending a $9 billion rescission package to the federal to the House and to the Senate as well, but that's just the start. As we go through the appropriations process here over the next 4 or 5 months, look, there's 12 buckets of money, 2,400 line items. We need to go through those line item by line item to justify every dollar of hardworking Americans' money being spent. So thanks, Elon. Great job, and we're just getting started yet. And by the way, we're not tired of winning.
Great points. Enjoyed the conversation. Senator Roger Marshall, thank you very much.
You bet, Charles.